this may be one of the best Metro beats I've ever heard. It's definitely top 5 Metro beats I've ever heard. And I'm not, this is not the Atlanta in me. I'm telling y'all.
But the way that Metro responded was he made an instrumental or a beat, and it has in the hook BBL Drizzy, and he released it, and he encouraged artists to rap over it. So now there's probably there's probably tens of thousands of songs at this point that are floating around with BBL Drizzy as the hook. So I thought that was really dope. And
he didn't just encourage people, he incentivized people. He said, the best artist on this song gets my beat for free. And not just like internet free. He's saying, I will license this to you to release on your own platform, citing Metro Boomin as the producer. And I think that is next level, diabolical and super funny, but also, and I listen to that because it's a beat. It is, when I talk, it's prime. I'm talking about prime Metro. Like it is, and this sounds crazy because I saw somebody else from Atlanta say this, and I was like, yeah, that's that ATLian coming out. They were like, this may be one of the best Metro beats I've ever heard. I'm like, all right, but that's what made me listen. And I'm going to say it's definitely top 5 Metro beats I've ever heard. And I'm not, this is not the Atlanta in me. I'm telling y'all. This is as much as I've been pulled into this. He went off with that.
It's a top tier track for sure. Somebody's going to create potentially another classic from this. So you're going to get Not Like Us, and then you're going to get BBL Drizzy.
Are either of you nervous about the logistics of this contest though? Like, how are you gonna? I am. I'm nervous for
the Atlanta-ish. This joint is. Nobody's gonna win because there's too many people doing it. It's just a cultural moment. This is the part of the Atlanta industry where people are like, man, I signed up to go and I was supposed to talk to 18 A&Rs and I only talked to one that night. It's like, my bad, big dog. We forgot about that. Like the promise has been made. I think it was just like a moment, and he's smart is marketing. Instead of being like, if anybody wants to rap to this, he says, hey, I'm giving you this beat. So, I mean, it may come out, but I just think it's going to be hella people releasing this song, maybe making claims. Who knows? I don't know. I know you're thinking about Content ID.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking about like when even Dame's contest and ones I've participated in the past, that was, 100 entries to go through. I'm sure he's at 1,000 plus right now. Ironically,
did you say 1,000 plus?
If not way more.
No, I'm saying
tens of thousands.
I'm saying like every rapper I know, from like Christian rappers to conscious rappers to, I'm talking about people who like the sweetest humans who had to go find an iPhone mic. Like people I didn't even know rapped are dropping on the Twitter feed #BBL. I promise you, I wouldn't be surprised if he's had over 1 million people, because when he dropped it, like 3 or 4 hours later, I went on SoundCloud and it was almost 1 million streams already on SoundCloud, but the download link was already in the 100K. Because, you could see and people are also ripping it straight from Twitter. They're ripping it straight from Instagram. So I wouldn't be surprised if several 100,000 people have put something up, but I wouldn't be surprised if because I saw one dude drop like 3 or 4 versions already. So there's probably potentially 1 million songs, 1 million verses. I won't even say full songs, but he could, by the end of this week, I could see 1 million verses being recorded, not necessarily released or anything, but yeah, because people are thinking Metro's going to notice it. He's reposting people. So people who would never are like, Metro's going to notice me. This man, I'm just saying, Atlanta is up. That's all I'm saying.
Well, ironically, I don't know if either of you are on this. I want to talk some producer stuff, but this kind of relates to that. Ironically, Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us being kind of the standout track was met with some initial criticism about the mix from DJ Vlad. You saw that?
Vlad is such a clown.
Okay, I think we can just leave it at that.
What do you want?
I'm surprised, Erinn. You don't know about this?
You want to share
how we tried to get the professor fired?
I sent it to Erinn.
Well, I'm on Black Woman Twitter, so I definitely saw it. I mean,
okay, I was gonna say,
well, I seen it before y'all sent it because Black Women was like in our little side groups. I wasn't saying nothing, but Black Women was plotting. That man better be careful because there are people into things that are outside of Twitter that have nothing to do with physical violence to you. I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, the girlies be doing things, and I think homeboy need to be careful. And I'm not even advocating for that. I'm so anti that. But like, I think people think that they're invincible because they have money and they're on the internet. But it's like, you just don't understand other things that are at play. And I would be careful. I saw that. I thought you said, and maybe I misheard you. I thought you said that he said something, I'm not even going to say that person's name, that he said something about the mix.
Yeah, he did. That was the initial tweet that caused then she said, stay out of our business. And that's when he
I actually didn't know that's what started the conversation. And this makes me even more upset because I try not to go to that person's things in general for years. I don't touch that YouTube, that Twitter, conversations about that person because that person is destructive to culture and destructive to humanity. And I choose not to participate in things like that. But the mix, we're talking about songs that are you're talking about that to me is like when people be trying to do sidebars, like if somebody's hooping and then they be like, man, your shoes ugly. It's like, boy, if you don't get out the gym, what?
Yeah. But
this don't have you sitting on you're not even on the bench, big dog. Like you just watched your second game yesterday. Like, and I'm the like mix fiend, like sonically, like I'm not even gonna tell y'all what I think about the mix but that's a dumbass like interjection off rip, which makes me even more frustrated. But I don't even really want to like let this person get me up in arms. So I just want to hear what y'all got to say about this because this is.
I don't have anything to say about it other than, like people can say whatever they want. He knew what he was doing when he got into the Karen zone.
Yeah.
And we know what being a Karen means. It's about weaponizing privilege.
Whiteness.
And he was doing that, and I'm trying not to get demonetized because anytime we talk about race on here, something weird happens with the views. But yeah, Erinn, and he.
But people that
he doubled down. But Wasp
people that aren't
Vlad kicks a lot of hornets' nest.
Yeah, people that aren't familiar with Vlad, like people might. If you're not familiar with him and the criticism that exists and all the bullshit that he's been a part of, like you might look at that exchange and be like, why did she say that? Like you got to understand like who Vlad is and, the issues and the conversations that have been swirling around his platform himself for years. I mean, even if you just took the conversation at face value and didn't know that, I still think it's out of pocket because ultimately, Vlad out of nowhere said something about the mix. This young lady who is a former or current professor at Princeton said, hey, Vlad, this is a black affair. Like, we don't need your white perspective right now, essentially. And then he looked at her bio. And apparently this is like a niece of Rodney Jerkins. So she has ties to the music industry as well. He basically looked at her bio, saw that she was affiliated with Princeton, and then tags Princeton in his post to try to alert them like, hey, she's being racist. Why is she representing your institution? So basically trying to get her fired or reprimanded or maybe stop her from getting any other teaching opportunities at Princeton. But it's like, bro, you had an opinion. She had an opinion. Like, why are you trying to now get her fired for her opinion? Like that's wild. And that's what folks are talking about when people say Karen behavior. Like, that was definitely Karen behavior on the part of Vlad to do that. Like, I don't understand why you would tag, unless you're a Karen, like somebody's employer, for having an opinion in response to your opinion.
That's the new thing.
I don't like it. I don't like us even coding this though right now as a Karen, because to me, it's a soft way to put racism. I don't like that.
Well, yeah.
I feel that is erasure right there. Like, first and foremost, if you need to go study, do that. But for him to even insinuate that she's racist is impossible. And when people are going to be like, black people can be racist against black people and other minorities, but race is a social construct empowered by whiteness. So we cannot be racist because we are not the predominant culture. We can be prejudiced. So first and foremost, everybody who's saying, if anything, she was prejudiced, but that's not what she was. She was not displaying prejudice in that moment. She was calling him to the carpet based off of the way that he oppresses other people. She's calling him an oppressor and saying, and not necessarily based on race. She's saying, you are oppressive to my culture. I'm identifying with my culture and you need to sit this one out. I saw her quote tweet. I didn't even remember what he said because I feel like I have him blocked. So I don't even know if I saw what he said, but which is why I'm like having this moment. But then for him to do exactly what she's calling him out for, and then to accuse her of what he's doing, which is actually impossible. That to me is, so like, even again, coding this as a Karen, I think we have to be very careful with that because it still gives him a soft, oh, he's being a Karen. You're giving him the white soccer mom who says, let me speak to your manager. This man was trying to ruin someone's career and legacy. And when she said, hey, my contract just ended, like literally he was like, oh, so you're a former professor. I know she was saying that to protect herself, but it's also like, she's also like, you're trying to call me to the carpet for somebody who has no authority in my life. That's what she was saying. She's not denouncing the fact that she's a professor. She's owning it. And she also went there. So she's like, I have the right to put this in my bio regardless because I graduated from here. Do you know how many black people graduate from Ivy League schools? There's so much like, there's multiple levels of racism and sexism that were played into this moment. And I really didn't want to get into this, but I think it's necessary for people not to just gloss this over as, yeah, he's a Fed. His inherent hatred for our culture was fully on display in this moment, because in a moment where he could have just been like, I got mad and flew off the roof, he dug deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper.
Or just said, you know what? I don't like the mix. That's my opinion, and walked away from it.
He could have, even if he would have first done his first bullshit and tagged the school, right? The back and forth is proof positive of how actually racist and sexist this person is. Because as it goes deeper, he begins to dig into her intelligence and then speaks to her record. He's like, I don't care that you don't work there anymore. I want this to go on your permanent record. So in the future, you can't be employed further. I don't want people to recognize that you are of an elite class of human being, not only who have graduated from an Ivy League, but as a minority who has not only graduated from an Ivy League, but gone back to teach at an Ivy League. You're telling me that you're trying to eliminate her because she commented on something that you disagreed with? You want her entire livelihood to be ruptured, for her reputation to be, her best parts of her reputation to be expunged, and for her to be on display because you disagree in a tweet? Tell me how much you hate us and make it plain. That's why
Well, I think
I don't
Vlad
want
makes
to
it
call it
plain
a
with all his content.
Karenness. Like Karen is not, he's not worthy of that softness. He is an actual factual creep and a detriment to humanity and needs to very much go to therapy and heal and understand how racist he is. And so many people were like, man, I need to go back and look. And they're like dissecting him. And I'm like, you're giving him money by going on his channel right now. And I understand this goes back to what I was saying. A lot of people don't have the self-control to say, oh, let me not participate. They want to look and peer, and you want to do this whole study of this human being, and all you're doing is empowering this person to continue to elevate themselves off of our culture, our identities, our entities. And I am sick of it. I will not let that person's name come from my mouth, but it's ridiculous, and I think it's so detrimental in so many ways. But like, this person is not worthy of the energy that we're even giving right now. But I think that it's a moment where we can't just gloss over it. I appreciate you pulling it up, Payne, even though I was frustrated. I don't want to gloss over it because I think it matters more for our listeners to know that this is way more detrimental than a momentary Twitter beef. Like, oh, he's a creep. It's way worse than that.
We had a previous episode, I think before you joined, Erinn, Damon, I had a damn near whole episode about this person.
That to me might be the most positive thing that came out of this beef, because he didn't have. I mean, obviously, you get some people that support anything anybody says, but like the overwhelming support was on behalf of this young woman, and even Mark Lamont Hill chimed in. I'm a big fan of Mark Lamont Hill and the stuff that he does. So I don't think that. Vlad's a narcissist, so I don't know how he's going to receive the criticism, the overwhelmingly the amount of criticism that he got. I mean, but I kind of enjoyed that piece, just seeing people go at him or him.
We do know how he received it. He went back on Twitter and was like, "I didn't do anything. I don't know why everyone's mad at me."
Like, it's not going to change. Like, he's going to continue doing what we saw it with, that when he had the controversy about his Louis Farrakhan remarks. We kind of just see how he operates. He only cares about money. He's just going to keep doing, and people are going to keep. I don't watch his interviews. I stopped a long time ago, and I actually was a person that was on his platform when the Funk Volume stuff went down, and I didn't like the way he, even back then. I didn't like the way he like titled things, and I know that he understands the algorithm, and it's just his content to me is not positive. It's not something that's healthy for people to ingest. Every once in a while, he'll have like a good interview, like with the stuff that he does with like Michael Jai White, or people. And I like Michael Jai White. I like his stuff, but. I definitely don't consume his content anymore.
If you put a brownie in a piece of shit, it's still a piece of shit.
Anyway, we can move on. I got about 9 more minutes.
Okay, so more weird stuff going on Twitter. Couple episodes ago, we covered this MGK and Trippie Redd album controversy, which basically, to summarize. Erinn's already ready. There was a producer, I'm just going to call them Kai, who claimed that they were on the project and that they were disappointed that they had found out they were on the project because they thought the song was going to be trash. And then in a producer capacity, co-writer, co-composer, and both MGK and Trippie Redd responded by saying, all right, cool, you're off the album. If you think it's so trash, we've taken you off. You look at the album credits, that producer is in fact off the album. But I'm off the album too, right? I was never on it to begin with. Therein lies the problem. It became this whole thing where the producer got so much exposure, because it wasn't all negative and it wasn't all positive. The producer got a lot of attention. And the producer, Kai, finally tweeted, all right, look, this was a rollout strategy from the label. I'm sick of getting dogpiled on by all you on Twitter. And so here I'm exposing that this was a label strategy. They wanted us to beef. And then There was disagreement about that from the two artists. So we had no idea what was true, what was not. Damon and I broke it down. All of it was pretty suspect, all of it. But now we have new information where I believe MGK and Trippie Redd appeared, and I'm so sorry I don't know the show. I saw the video. They appeared on a show online on video, and in person they were talking about this situation. And they were asked, like what their biggest boss moment was, or I forget how the interviewer phrased it, but they said that, that moment was tweeting to this producer that they were kicked off the project. Okay, cool. Look, if that's the case, if I'm an artist and someone during my rollout, someone who's involved in the project wants to be negative about it, they get kicked off. Cool. And if I'm a producer who doesn't want to be on the project and I got a bunch of attention and I got kicked off of a project that I didn't want to be on to begin with, then I won too. Everybody won. But what's weird is it's just not adding up. And then in addition, MGK tweeted, the key takeaway from this is that he lied. And I don't think the producer identifies as a he, but whatever. MGK said, he lied about ever being on the project. He never had a placement on the EP. I personally produced with my friends every song except 2 on the genre Sad Boy. Okay, this is just giving me a migraine because, all right, why would Trippie Redd and MGK both spend so much of their platform going off on this kid if that kid was lying from the beginning? Something's not adding up. And now I'm leaning more towards the label conspiracy because... And maybe they didn't know about it, or maybe they're annoyed about the label's weird marketing rollout. And rather than say, yeah, it was the label and piss off their label, they're just saying, yeah, he never was on it, as just kind of a way to. But again, I don't know if we saw the document that Kai produced, and it just looks weird. I've never seen anything like that come from a label. But again, I've never been a part of a label's rollout. Generally, producers aren't included in that. And if this producer eventually, I don't know, why would the label, they're not on the project. Why would the label recruit them for the rollout if they're not on the project?
I'm not going to say it is true or it's not because I have no proof. I will say I have seen briefs that look all sorts of ways. So the validity of the brief. So I'll say this, to the degree, like if we're just looking at both sides pragmatically, the producer would have had to tweet about this, and people tweet artists nonstop. Day of release, random unknown producer tweets about this, gets a response from both, it blows up, and it's mentioned in multiple interviews, because this is not the only one that it's mentioned in. The likelihood of it just being a random person and it working in their favor, and they had nothing to do with this, and they just out of the blue thought about this as a marketing ploy for their own beats, to me seems way more far-fetched than the label pitched it to them and this was part of the marketing plan. Because, again, respectfully, and this is gonna sound wild, but I don't know about shit that either of them rappers are doing until this tweet. Because of this tweet, and we know the labels are really trying to get creative now because they done taken off TikTok, whatever, and both of these two rappers, Trippie Redd and MGK, win from othering themselves. Dame was talking about othering. If we're talking about brand archetypes and different things like that, they're very much the outcast. They play into the outcast, the loner, people don't love me, people don't like me. So what a better narrative than for them two to combine and then essentially, like, to me, it seems like a really good story arc. If I did a brand brief for this album, because the themes on the album are very much like rock with us, dark, sad, whatever. It perfectly matches with the themes of the album. Do you know what I'm saying? What are the odds that a producer just gets this creative to promote? And no disrespect to the producer community, I until the Metro joint, I haven't really been seeing producers for real market themselves in a massively effective way. This individual is being brought up in so many conversations. And so I just my note and takeaway too is if he was never on the album, then how come suddenly you're claiming, it almost feels like they got exposed. So now they're trying to take back, oh no, well, I produced everything. They were never on the album. Then how come y'all have so many interviews about this? It just seems like the line through, it's almost like the label's like, ask them about, like, why would you ask two rappers, what's your most boss? Like the line of questioning was really dumb too. Like even the way how the interviewer got to it, it's random, no disrespect to the interview, it's random questions, but typically you're not asking a rapper, like, what's your biggest boss move or whatever, however they worded that. So it seems like they're being fed this and it's popped up multiple times on Twitter. Again, neither of these dudes are in my inbox or I don't see them until this. And the last thing I'm going to say is I've toured with MGK before. I toured with him ages ago. I remember this whole thing. He was supposed to get on stage at a certain time and get off. And he was like, I want to play longer. And they were like, no. And we were on a massive tour. They cut his mic off. He then goes to Facebook, because this is Facebook days, and goes into this whole rant about how they don't like rappers, how they came for him, how he had fans standing there waiting for him and they kicked him off. It's not true. Nobody was waiting for him. They were waiting for the next people. He turned it into this whole thing. And then Fuse TV came out and covered it. And this been his shit since the jump, y'all. He loves to spin a narrative. So to me, if I'm a marketer, I'm looking at his overall theme and arc. This works perfectly. I'm not saying it's true, but it looks more true on the producer side than it does on MGK's and Trippie Red side. Shout out to all of them, but it just seems like good marketing to me.
Yeah. My opinion is, Payne, when you are looking at something and it's giving you a migraine, just go the other way. Stuff like this should not give you a migraine.
Well, that's why I tried to
just tap
avoid the Kendrick and Drake stuff, and then I stupidly post that thing about the writer's credit. But it's mysterious to me, to the point where I'm like, it's not like it's a murder mystery. It's not like we're never going to know the truth. We could know the truth. Just tell us. Damn, what's the big deal? I just don't know. Okay, so Erinn, you said Kai's a random producer, and like, granted, they're, this edgy, new, young, distorted, hedonistic, fatalistic, nihilistic rap sound of today, right? But there were a lot of producers on that project that have huge followings. I brought this up in the last video. Why didn't they get Cody to do this? Why? Maybe because it was beneath him, or he didn't need the money. A lot of
these producers are going to be like, I'm not participating in this marketing. And then to me, again, it creates a better narrative if it's a smaller producer. I'm kicking you off. You're not going to kick a big producer off your project. Mustard was spinning Drake the next day in the club.
That's a good point.
Do you know what I'm saying? Take that for what it is. If you know, you know. But it's like, if you are a big producer, you do whatever you want. It's kind of like celebrity. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of these dudes are not going to participate in this, like, from a label perspective, especially when they've been in your shoes. And it's like, man, these labels owe me so much bread. It only, to me, really works when somebody doesn't have a big enough name, because if they get buried, you don't have to own the collateral damage, which is part of a bigger conversation that we're having right now. You can pitch a smaller producer, hey, just say this. They're not worried about how that affects his career in a real way. That's why he was like, hey, bruh, this ain't about me. That's, again, why I feel like it seems a little bit more likely that this is real. Because if Kai is a diabolical marketer, then great. I feel like you would have seen more traces and trails of this, and they would have had a bigger following as well. And no disrespect to them. They have credits and seems like they're doing well for themselves. But I think if you don't even have to find the breadcrumbs in this one. It's like just look at this. So you just follow the basic trail. You know what I'm saying? Like there's chemtrails all over this shit.
It made me listen to Kai's music, but Kai's more of a artist themselves more than a producer. I guess they do it all, but the stuff I heard they didn't produce. It was them on the vocals, and it kind of gave. Well, I'm not going to say what it made me think of. Did you listen to it?
I went to one of their beat stores. Was it? It wasn't Beat Stars. It was one of them, and I listened to a couple of beats. It's not.
Oh, I didn't know they had one.
It's not super so this is what I think what happened, because right after it happened, I saw a beat store, then I went back and I saw those artist stuff, and I was like, I don't really want to listen to this. I kind of want to check out the beats. So I think they changed their link around to like promote their music, which makes sense because it's like if that's what you're trying to push. But yeah, so the beats aren't for me, but shout out to what's going on. But it was literally only like 2 or 3 beats, and I didn't know what was going on with that. I'm like, is this what they're trying to sell? But yeah, like I think it's cool because now their name is out there. Like I think that part, shout out to them for like knowing when to hold them and when to fold them. But it just, to me, seems a lot more likely to be a label thing. Even if MGK and Trippie Redd didn't know at first, it still doesn't invalidate the fact that it wasn't on Kai's side. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to invalidate Kai as a marketer. I'm not saying you're a bad marketer. I'm just saying this diabolical plan playing out so well to me. It could be happenstance, but it seems to be more of a, because if it was you, I feel like claiming that and being like, yeah, I was trolling, I was trying to get more fame, and then it blew up, versus being like, this ain't me. Like, it was almost like a character play to be like, this is what don't come from my character. Whereas it could have gotten bigger if they were trolling and then they were like, this was just a troll that ended up being really, really successful. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no additional benefit to connect it to the label for Kai. Kai could have just owned it and it still would have been an uproar of people being like, oh, word, da, 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 da. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I'm looking at.
We got to wrap this up.
And looking at Kai's,
I realized that I need Riverside for my next meeting.
All right. I'm just saying. I was just gonna say, looking at Kai's social media.
Looks like I froze again.
And what they post and their marketing. Yeah, we can. I'm wrapping it up. It is really, just as you said, this would fall squarely in line with MGK's patterns. It would fall in line with Kai's patterns. So I honestly think everybody won off of this. I'm just, I'm a Libra. I just want to know the truth. That's all. I want to talk to Kai. Maybe I'm just going to reach out to Kai. They tell me to fuck off. They tell me to fuck off. But, if there is a grand conspiracy, I don't expect them to just send me a DM and say, oh, yeah, no, we made this all up. Or, yeah, this is the truth. And here's the proof. I don't expect any of that. So maybe I'll just end up more frustrated. But what isn't frustrating is free premium music distribution. Go to tolost.com, use the code @odds. You get 3 free months of premium music distribution. Get all your music up. Matter of fact, upload some music, schedule it in advance, and then manufacture a beef with any of the producers on the project.
Kai, you should release your music via Tulost.
Reach out to Dame because they have a lot of music. I mean, Kai has a whole team. This does not seem like just some random person who's going at life by the seat of their pants at all. I think they really have their shit together. Insofar as any artist can have their shit together, you know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like this is not the last we've heard from Kai.
All right, we got to wrap.
And it's not the last you've heard from us. We'll be back next week.
Yo, I really got to go.
All right, peace.
Peace.